The name JoyBoy has now been mentioned by a pirate like Kaido. It starts to make us question how popular is the legend of JoyBoy, which not only Goldie Roger knows about. From the given facts, Kaido joined the Rocks Pirates as an apprentice, and with Germa 66 having the Devil Fruit book, and even with O'Hara having all that knowledge about the Ancient Kingdom, it wouldn't be so far-fetched to have Roxy Zebek also having knowledge and even books to pass on to a young Kaido. Oda Sensei opened up about the state of One Piece in a TV special. Fuji TV did a piece touring the artist's massive Japanese home, and Oda did an interview as well where he touched upon when One Piece will end. Oda revealed that the story of the Straw Hats Pirates will be coming to an end likely within the next 5 years. However, this begs the question of how the saga with all its plot threads and ideas can be wrapped up in half a decade if this is indeed the case. They would make sense on why flashback of Wano and Odin is so important to potentially wrap things up. But what other arcs can there be besides the final war that can fit into these final years? Of course, before I drag on, I'll give the answer. It'll be Elbaf, which will be placed in between Wano and the final war arc. Why there will be an Elbaf arc for sure is because Elbaf has been talked about since Little Garden with Dorian Broggie. Things like Ennis Lobby with Kashi and Omo also made it much more likely. Usopp pretty much has to visit it. Then there is the whole King of Giant thing that we learn about in Dressrosa with Hadridan. Then we had Lola's marriage with Loki we learn about in Whole Cake Island, as well as the whole Big Mom past there, and learning what really happened to Mother Caramel. We also haven't seen the full island yet, with only a small vision of the world tree that is growing there, so Oda is keeping it up for later. Elbaf should also be the place where Usopp realizes his dream of being a proud warrior of the sea, since what a better place to become one than on the island of Warrior. As I mentioned in the older video, not only this arc that we learn more about giants, but also about another mysterious character, JoyBoy, the giant. Elbaf is fabled spelled backwards, and the culture appears to be based off that of medieval Scandinavia with references to Norse mythology. Even their prince is named after the Nordic deity Loki. So I had to dig deep to link JoyBoy to Norse mythology, and then I found a connection. JoyBoy will be based off Odin, the Wanderer, the one-eyed Norse god who wore a one-eyed brimmed hat as he travelled the world in pursuit of knowledge. The name Odin can mean master of ecstasy, and another word for ecstasy is joy. JoyBoy. One Norse version of Odin did find Loki as a baby. After killing his giant father, Odin never adopted him, and this will now lead to the theory of Loki, the fake JoyBoy. Hi everyone, Flying Panda, the One Piece theories.
Luffy versus Prince Loki, the fake JoyBoy?
Before I start the theory, when Oda Sensei was a child, he used to see this series in television. In Japan, it was titled Chizana Viking Viki. Viki was the son of the head of the Viking village. Unlike the others, he wasn't very strong, but he was intelligent. According to Oda Sensei, this series is probably the reason why he likes pirates so much. About 1,000 years ago, the pirates who came from Scandinavia and assaulted the different countries were called Vikings. The origin of its name is in the word Vik, that means men of the north or men of the sea, that later it changed to Vik. They really were fearsome. They were so evil that they entered from the coast and they devastated with the towns, destroying houses and ships, killing random people, robbing the food and all the valuable objects, and to make it worse, they burnt all the buildings to ashes. Then they returned to their houses. They were so evil that all this is hard to believe. So first of all, as we all knew, The giants in Elbaf is based on Norse mythology and Vikings. We can clearly see in the Big Mom's flashback that Elbaf is in the tree base. This tree is reference to Yggdrasil and Jack and the Beanstalk, so probably it's the same tree we see in Skypiea, the giant Jack. In my previous video about JoyBoy, I explained that there were connections to JoyBoy and the Hindu king in Java, whose importance in the history of Indonesia is also known for his prophecies, particularly regarding the future of Java. Jayabaya, or JoyBoy, was believed to have had a powerful magical talent which led to his ability to see far into the past and far into the future. My main belief that JoyBoy was indeed a king from the past, and that doesn't change. In the last page of One Piece 903, it shows a straw hat, but what it is and what is its meaning? Im seems to be comparing Luffy's wanted poster to the straw hat in the locked up cell. From this chapter, it is believed that the straw hat could be connected to the ancient kingdom, but one thing for sure is that that straw hat is massive. Now that's when I went flying Panda crazy theory mode. What if JoyBoy was a giant? And on to Odin and his connection to JoyBoy. First thing I want to say is, even though I said a while back that JoyBoy was a giant, I never thought about Odin, even though there were connections with Loki. I was thrown off because there was already an Odin in Wano. But thanks to the fact that the name Odin can mean master of ecstasy, and another word for ecstasy is joy, it all starting to link up well. Is that information enough to compare the two? Well, it's always been theorized before that the Norse gods can be paired to One Piece characters, and the best comparison to this can be Shanks and Blackbeard. Shanks can be compared to Tyr. Tyr doesn't have many stories, but a big one is how he lost his hand to Fenrir, the wolf. He's also a prominent war god right there, next to Odin and Thor. Now besides the obvious literal losing of arm for Shanks, his injury from Blackbeard could be a double dipping of the story. Blackbeard, this hairy antagonist, seems to resemble one of the biggest villains of Norse mythology, Fenrir, the wolf. Now, the person that fights and kills Fenrir during Ragnarok is Vidar, another son of Odin, brother of Thor, and Vidar be compared to Luffy. Shanks' ship, like much of Shanks' character, is based on ancient Viking lore. Shanks himself is based on the Norse god Tyr, who like Shanks is one-handed. Elbaf is completely based on Nordic mythology Viking, with all their buildings, their names, a big tree like Yggdrasil, and Loki as their prince, and Red Force, Shanks' ship, which is based on a Viking ship. Shanks and Tyr share many similarities. They both were renowned for their swordsmanships, their justness, and their red hair. Tyr was prophesied to die in the hands of Ymir in Norse mythology. Ymir is a wolf or dog associated with both Hell and Ragnarok, and described as a bloodstained gun of Hell's Gate. In many iterations, he is known to have 3 heads. Odin has by far the most different attributes than any other god within the Norse myths, often portrayed as a one-man wanderer who is the wisest of all Norse gods. It was believed that Odin was a god of war, poetry, runes, magic, and the dead. Even though it's a manga about pirates, it's pretty well known, at least for fans, that Odin avoids drawing any characters with eye patches. He said it is because he has plans for an important character with an eye patch to show up near the end of the series, so he wanted to save the looks. Maybe finally the eye patch will be given to JoyBoy, or dare I say it, from my old video that Luffy will wear an eye patch due to the milk scene with Brook. Looking at that wiki picture gives me chills. That looks just like a straw hat. Can we link any treasure One Piece into this? Well, here's an interpretation of Odin's relinquishing of his treasure Draupnir. When his son dies, it is believed that Odin's gesture of placing Draupnir on Baldur's ship had 2 meanings. Firstly, it was a sacrifice to the funeral worthy of a god like Baldur. Secondly, it represents Odin's belief that a new world will emerge after Ragnarok, and that Baldur would rise to become the new king who will lead the creation of the new world. Kinda sounds like what's going on in One Piece, huh? What a nice will to leave for the future generations. The will of Dragnir, maybe? There is also a myth about Odin and learning to read runes. Runes that look an awful lot like our poneglyphs equipped with the knowledge of how to wield the runes. He became one of the mightiest and most accomplished beings in the cosmos. Now, going to the end with Loki, the fake JoyBoy. Odin is not the father of Loki. Loki has a goddess for a mother and a Jotun for a father. I had to explain this part because a lot of people are still comparing Loki to the Marvel comics. The various sources of Norse myth does not explain why Odin and Loki became blood brothers. It only makes sense that they were brothers. Why else would Odin put up with Loki's troublemaking? Among the Norse, or Vikings as most people call them, a man could swear allegiance to a lord, usually a Jar or a king. The man would swear an oath of loyalty, and in return the lord would give the man a gift. But what if two men wanted a stronger bond than an oath? They could follow the example of Odin and Loki, become blood brothers. Loki produced the progeny Hel, the goddess of death, Jormungandr, the serpent that surrounds the world, and Fenrir the wolf. Loki is also credited with giving birth to Sleipnir, Odin's 8-legged horse. Now we can start the prediction of what devil fruits the giants guarding Loki of One Piece will have. Now going back to the One Piece world, I believe JoyBoy is also a legend that the giants of Elbaf have heard of. I cannot find any connection at this moment, but if Odin is the JoyBoy of the series, then could Loki be the JoyBoy the giants thought to have returned? Could have lied that he was the one? For sure I believe that Loki is indeed not a good guy, and makes you speculate even further why Lola rejected him. I thought it was weird that Lola turned down someone who wanted to marry her, and now her first word to any man is, "Will you marry me?" Maybe the plan was for something to go down similar to Sanji's wedding, but only this time it was Big Mom on the receiving end of the betrayal. So in Norse mythology, Loki is the god of mischief. Maybe he heard that Big Mom has caused such a havoc on his country he devised a plan to take her out, but Lola got wind of this and didn't want to be the cause of her mother's death or something. The whole reason Big Mom hated Lola was because she would have gained so much from this political marriage, but what would the Elbaf giants gain? Big Mom's forces, but at the cost of submitting to Big Mom. Also, as we are talking Norse, did you know that Imsummer can also mean Im? Is the name of a giant appearing in Norse mythology. Would be interesting that JoyBoy, who's Odin, meets Im in the past, if we believe her to have eternal youth. Heck, she's a giant from Norse mythology. Is there a connection with Loki as well? Loki is still a prince in One Piece, so maybe the king is the one behind the scenes. The legend of the fake JoyBoys. Now is the time for Luffy to face with Loki, the new JoyBoy, versus the fake JoyBoy. Anyways, thanks for watching the video. Please leave comments down below what you thought. Please click like, and if you haven't, please subscribe to Flying Panda, and of course, join our Discord. As you know, we got a Twitter account, meet us there. We got a Facebook, join us there. And also we got a Discord channel with over 2,000 members. We're a great admin team, great members. We always talk about our One Piece theories in this channel. We always talk about One Piece in general. We talk about films. We talk about games. So if you haven't already, see you there on the Discord channel.
Flying Panda.
One thing, I don't know why. It doesn't even matter how hard you try. Keep that in mind, I designed this rhyme. Explain in due time. All I know, time is a valuable thing. Watch it fly by as a pendulum swings. Watch it count down to the end of the day. The clock ticks life away, it's so unreal. Didn't look out below. What time fly through out the window. Trying to hold on, but didn't even know. I wasted it all just to watch you go. I kept everything inside, even though I tried. It all fell apart. What it meant to be will eventually be a memory of a time when I tried so hard.
Flying Panda. Yeah. Flying Panda. Here we go now.
行くぞ